YouTube? Welcome to my review of Arrow, episode 12 and 13. If you haven't noticed, last week I didn't post the Arrow episode that I will be reviewing today. I'm doing them in two parts as this cliffhanger style review that I'm doing. Just like, for example, I won't be doing a Flash review this week because that ended, or that's going to be a two-parter. So stay tuned next week and you will get both episode review next week, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let's get started. So episodes 12 and 13 are Unchained and Sins of the Father. Now this two-part episode starts with Nyssa trying to take back the League of Assassins, in which she goes to get, she tries to get help from Tatsu to get the lotus, which is the formula that is needed to heal Thea, because Thea is still dealing with the repercussions of the bloodlust. So they need the serum in order to reverse those effects. Okay? In episode 12, Roy shows back up. He's stealing all this equipment for this big tech villain that Felicity goes toe-to-toe with. And how that ends up unraveling is they capture Roy and come to find out that there's this guy, the calculator, behind all this. So they get Roy's help in order to take this guy down at the end of the episode 12. And that's kind of how that part of the arc ends, with Roy going away wherever he's going, which was really cool to see. Colton Haynes. It was really cool to see Arsenal back on the show. Arsenal is one of my favorite parts of season 3, and the fact that he hasn't been in season 4 has been, like, dude, where are you at? He was part of Team Arrow. It's like, why couldn't they get rid of Laurel? Seriously. So, anyways. So, everything on the dark front is kind of quieted down, and then we find out at the end of episode 12 that this calculator is Felicity's dad. And then that whole thing opens up into episode 12, or episode 13. Now, at the end of episode 12, we find out that Thea's even further progressed in her sickness, and the only person that has the antidote is Nyssa. So Nyssa comes to the hospital where Oliver's at and gives him this ultimatum. You kill Malcolm Merlyn, I'll give you the formula. So that's pretty much what all episode 13 ends up opening up into, is trying to figure out a way to keep Nyssa alive, save Merlyn, or not kill Merlyn, get the formula for Thea. And it's like, Oliver's got to handle like this big monstrous problem. He's got to handle all this. So throughout that episode, or throughout the 13th episode, there's a lot of back and forth between Nyssa's league and Malcolm's league. And I have to reiterate this, okay? The bottom line, Oliver is still Ra's al Ghul, okay? Oliver is still Ra's al Ghul. He just gave the ring to Malcolm. Like, he's still the demon's head. He just gave it to Malcolm, hey, hold on to this, until I need it one day or whatever. So, the episode progresses, and Felicity's dad comes back. And Felicity's got this feeling right from the start, like this guy is fishy. And throughout the course of the 13th episode, she tests him to see what his intentions are, what he's about, and at the end of the episode, she ends up calling the cops and getting him locked up. Because when she gave him a tour of the lab, he ended up setting up this little contraption that would suck all the information in a given area. So she knew what his intentions were, so he gets locked up. Now, on the other end of things, Thea's still dealing with the bloodlust, and as a peace offering, Nyssa gives a little potion to Oliver so that they can make sure that this thing works. So what boils down to is Oliver has to go to Nyssa and has to go to Malcolm and try to make this situation work. And what ends up happening is, at the end of the episode, Oliver, he mentions the idea that you guys should have a trial by combat. And they do. And at the last minute, Oliver steps in and he's like, hey, I'm your husband. I have the right to challenge Malcolm Merlyn. And he challenges him, right? And there's this big back and forth, and it's really epic. And at the end, Oliver Skywalkers him. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean by Skywalkering. Cuts his hand off, dude, and then takes the ring and gives it to Nyssa. Like, what is that? That's not the biggest WTF moment. That's not the biggest what the fuck moment. I think there was like 3 really, really big what the fuck moments in both episodes. Number 1, the calculator's Felicity's dad. What is that? Number 2, now Nyssa's ahead of the League of Assassins. And third, and finally, and probably the biggest in all of Arrow, Nyssa Al Ghul disbands the League of Assassins. Like, what the fuck, dude? This is an organization of assassins that have been around since thousands of years. I don't know. She's on the job one day as Ra's al Ghul, disbands the whole motherfucking thing. What is that? Seriously. How are you going to disband the League of Assassins? Oh, I was my dad's prisoner for so long. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I don't know. Don't make sense to me, y'all. It doesn't. But all in all, both 12 and 13, I give it a solid 11. Now, you're asking yourself, Spyke, dude, how can you give an 11 and a possible 1 through 10? Because it was that damn good. It was the best of the season. I'm going to go so far as to say in the top 4 episodes. The entire season was really, really good. I loved both episodes. I thought the big cliffhanging 2-parter was really epic, really good. Absolutely loved it. Some of the best Arrow we've seen all season. So I was really happy with it. And it was really cool to see Malcolm Merlyn get his hand chopped off. And then at the end, him talking to Damien Darhk about Oliver's son. Like, what is that? So, thanks for watching my review today. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Really phenomenal episode. Really loved it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you liked it, didn't like it, or what you thought of the episode. Stay tuned for next week when we'll dig deeper into these issues. I'm Spyke Vonshadow.